TFA Fam, welcome back into the channel. Appreciate everybody coming back, checking out another video. Today we're going to be keeping rolling with our player profile series. Today we're going to be talking about Cooper Kupp and why I think he's in for a big bounce back season. Roll the intro. TFA fam, welcome back in. Appreciate everybody checking out the video. I would really appreciate if you could just go ahead, hit that like and subscribe button. You know, if you're new here and you want to wait, fine, do so. But I guarantee you, you will not find a better group of content creators that you will find here. Many different opinions, many different takes. We got a lot of content coming out. It didn't matter really what you're into. Redraft, Dynasty, Devy, DFS. We're going to be doing some we got best ball. We got pretty much you covered top to bottom. We're even going to do a lot of prop stuff as the season gets closer and in season. So, you know, our live schedule, we're going to start going live a lot more frequently every week, and then probably ramping it up there. We go 2 or 3 times a week. So anyways, enough of the selling. If you hit that like, subscribe button, really appreciate it. Lets YouTube know that this is good content. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. That's why you're here anyways, not for me to ramble on. So Cooper Kupp. It was a little bit of a down year for Cooper Kupp in 2020. You know, he only played in 15 games, not that big of a deal. But, you know, if you really look at the numbers, you know, it really wasn't a terrible year, and it really wasn't that much different than what he did in 2019 when he finishes a top 5 fantasy wide receiver and top 10 in fantasy points per game. But, you know, if you look at him in 2020, he averaged 13.9 fantasy points per game, 210 fantasy points overall, or finished the 26th highest scoring wide receiver, 55% slot snaps, which is 11th among all wide receivers, 10.5 yards per reception, not that surprising, 88th among all wide receivers, 125 targets, 92 receptions, 969 yards for 24% target share, which is 21st among all wide receivers. Now, really where he kind of suffered was in the touchdown department last year. Jared Goff was terrible last year. We all know that. I think he had 20 passing touchdowns. So there wasn't a lot of touchdown goodness to go around here in this offense. So he only scored 3 touchdowns last year, which really crippled him a little bit in the fantasy department, and why he was 29th in fantasy points per game and 26 overall. You know, if you look at him though, where he really makes his hay is he is a absolute yards after the catch monster. He's finished top 5 in that category each of the last 2 seasons. 507 yards after the catch in 2020. It was 3rd most among all wide receivers, and 1.92 yards per out run. The thing that really is kind of perplexing to me is that Robert Woods is almost going a full round earlier. Robert Woods right now is going 408 in PPR formats, where Cooper Kupp is going 506 currently. So almost a full round later. And like, give me that full round discount on Cooper Kupp over Robert Woods. And I like Robert Woods this year. I think this offense, I think with the addition of Matthew Stafford, I think this can be a top 5 scoring unit in 2021. And that is why I'm just all in on this offense this year. But, you know, if you look at Matt Stafford last year, 4,100 passing yards, 26 passing touchdowns, 16.7 fantasy points per game, which is a pretty big drop off from when he was the year before. 18th in fantasy points per dropback, 10th in yards per attempt, 8th in completed air yards per attempt, and 14th in deep ball completion percentage. He wasn't as consistent as you like to see. 5 QB1 weeks with 9 QB2 weeks last year. But, you know, this was kind of a not typical year for Matthew Stafford, which is probably one of the reasons he got traded. But this is the best thing that could possibly happen to Matthew Stafford at this point in his career. Getting traded to a team like the Rams that can really let him, you know, spread his wings and fly, if you will. Because, you know, being saddled with the Lions in his entire career, where players just see their career go and die. I mean, guys like Barry Sanders and Calvin Johnson, 2 of the best players to ever play the game, have retired early because they just couldn't deal with playing for the Lions anymore. So it's good that Matthew Stafford got out of that situation and is now in LA with Sean McVay, because, you know, we've seen this Sean McVay offense and what it can be if everything goes the way it's supposed to. I mean, you go back and look at 2018 when this offense was just hitting on all cylinders and won people fantasy championships if you invested in this offense. And that's where I stand with them this year. I think that you can see Matthew Stafford go back to what he was, you know, in 2019, where he was putting up over 20 fantasy points per game. And that is kind of what I'm looking at. And, you know, I already talked about Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. If you look at this right here, this graphic that I have up, you can see they are basically identical in every single category. I mean, even all the way down to their receptions, their yardage. The only area that Robert Woods beat him in last year was touchdowns. He had 8 touchdowns, the only 3 for Cooper Kupp, and that is where you see the disparity between their fantasy points per game, where Robert Woods averaged 15.2 and Cooper Kupp averaged 13.9. I mean, that was literally the difference, because everything else is all pretty much the same. And Cooper Kupp, you know, put up those numbers in only 15 games, so only 1 fewer game. So it's likely he would have had over 1,000 yards last last year. He just didn't have the touchdowns. And as we know, touchdowns is a very volatile stat. So it's not something we really should be looking at and paying close attention to. So, with Cooper Kupp in 2021, I'm all in on this offense. And if you're wanting to target one of these Rams wide receivers, I'm going to go with the one that's cheaper, the one that we've seen that could be a top 10 wide receiver. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if both Woods and Kupp finish top 15 wide receivers this year. Like, this could be one of the best duos in the NFL this year with this offense, with Stafford, with McVay. This offensive line is returning. This offensive line took a big step forward last year from where it was at the year before. They only really had one loss this year with losing Austin Blythe among that offensive line. Cam Akers healthy. Tyler Higbee, it could be wheels up for this offense this year. And we know in fantasy football, you should be targeting these offenses. This is how you win championships. Stay away from the really bad offenses. I know I'm not breaking new ground to a lot of people, but if you're new to fantasy football, target the Cowboys, target the Rams, target the Chiefs, target the Bills. These are the offenses that we want. These offenses that are going to finish likely in the top 10 in pass attempts. They're going to be high volume, a lot of opportunities go around for your wide receivers. That's what you should be targeting. Stay away from these low volume pass offenses if you can, unless you're talking about super efficient wide receivers like A.J. Brown or something like that. When you're talking about a team like the Titans, who are a run first team, I would try to avoid the Browns if I could, just because I don't think that's going to be a high volume offense, and I just think it's going to be spread out too wildly. I really don't want any part of the pass catchers there if I can help it. Draft Cooper Kupp in 2021 with absolute confidence that this guy could be a top 10 fantasy wide receiver once again, like he did in 2019. And print money, because that's what we're doing around here. We're winning championships. I say it every time I'm on here, because that is what we're here for. We're here for you guys. Let me know in the comment section below which one you'd rather have, Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. And are you as high on the Rams offense as I am in 2021, or should I pump the brakes a little bit? Let me know in the comment section below. Hit that like and subscribe button for future content. Until the next one, peace.